With their first postseason appearance behind them, the battalion were poised to make big strides in 2000-2001, their third season in the OHL.
Overall, our defense, our strength, and our teamwork has picked up tremendously because we want to win now, and we know we can win. And last year, it was very difficult playing teams like Plymouth, getting blown out 11-1, playing Sarnia, getting blown out 10-0. That's not going to happen this year, and we got things to prove in this league now.
Brampton jumped out of the gate to begin the season by recording at least 1 point in 9 of their first 12 games. Rafi Torres, Jay McClement, and Aaron Van Loosen led the troops in scoring as the battalion averaged almost 4 goals per game in the first 2 months of the season. Then in December 2000, Stan Butler left the team to coach the Canadians at the World Junior Hockey Championship. Among the players on the team were 2 of Butler's own players, Rafi Torres and Jay Harrison.
Well, I'm really proud of both the boys. They came in, they competed, and they made the hockey team, and that's what it's all about. And it says volumes for our organization in Brampton that in our third year that we have 2 kids on the World Junior team.
Rostislav Klesla and Lucas Havel also participated at the tournament as members of the Czech team. Brampton acquired OHL All-Star goalie Brian Finley from Barrie at the trade deadline. Going the other way were Tyler Hanchuk, Matt Grenier, and netminder David Chant. A 2-time Canadian junior team member, Finley led the Colts to the OHL Championship in 2000 while being named the playoff MVP.
I've always said that's a moment that stood out for me because I think it legitimized the franchise as a big-time player when you went out and got a player of Brian Finley's caliber. He was an NHL drafted goaltender at that time, a #1 pick. Certainly had a lot of hype around that. So when they went out and got a player like that and was able to acquire him, I think that legitimized the franchise and where they stood.
Well, that's the first time that everybody looked at the battalion to actually be making moves to go towards the deadline rather than selling off. They were actually pulling in older players and hoping to make a run in the playoffs. Brian Finley was one of those pieces of the puzzle.
He brings the confidence we need, and we know that he's there for us. When we need him. So it's just all the best things.
Finley backstopped the troops with a 7-3-1 record over the final few weeks of the regular season. The battalion finished the year with their first winning season, 33 wins and 79 points, and headed into the playoffs as the 5th seed in the conference. Their opponent in the first round was the Guelph Storm, who finished with the same amount of points in the regular season. Rafi Torres opened the scoring and Brian Finley made 35 saves as Brampton won the opening game of the series on the road and never looked back, winning 4 straight games.
We knew that Guelph Storm is a great team, and but we came hard every night, very, very hard, and we played the systems, and Brian and the net were great, and our power play was working, so everything worked out for us, outstandingly, and we are just happy to beat them 4-0 so we can get some rest.
I think any time in playoffs, the goal is always an important player, and it's good to get off on the right foot last night and have a good game, and hopefully we'll just continue through the rest of the series and the rest of the playoffs.
The second round provided a tougher matchup against a familiar opponent, the Erie Otters. With Game 1 in Pennsylvania, Brampton was looking to steal a rare playoff road win, and that's exactly what they did. Finley made 27 saves and Rafi Torres scored 2 third-period goals, leading the battalion to a 4-3 win. Despite their best efforts, Brampton's postseason came to a sudden halt as they lost the next 4 games while being outscored by a 20-8 margin. When the season ended, Klesla was named a first-team All-Star, while Torres was named to the second team. First-year backstop Brad Topping was also recognized for his efforts by making the second All-Rookie team. In June 2001, the battalion chose future NHL defenseman Brent Burns in the 3rd round of the OHL priority selection. With their next pick, they chose future captain Ryan Olahan in the 4th round. When the 2001 season ended, Brampton said goodbye to 4 of its top 5 scorers, Rafi Torres, Jeff Bateman, Rostislav Klesla, and Lucas Havel. The troops also parted ways with Jason Maleko, the only captain in team history. With the departure of Maleko, the battalion opened the 2001-02 season with a new captain, 4th-year forward Kurt McSwain.
Yeah, Kurt McSwain, I can remember he was one of those guys that was in the trenches, so to speak, with the battalion in the early years and scoring obviously a pretty historic goal in battalion franchise history. And he was one of those guys, along with, I guess, Aaron Van Loozen and some of those other guys of that era that were probably pretty important going forward, and obviously a big night for Kurt there to score that goal.
McSwain was expected to lead the offense alongside Jay McClement and Adam Henrik.
Kurt McSwain, classy player. I thought he was a terrific player, and obviously getting the captaincy was a big moment in franchise history, and I think that he was a solid OHLer.
Another big change to open the season was in net. After splitting the goaltending duties the previous season with David Chant and Brian Finley, Brad Topping was handed the starting job. The battalion ended the first half of the season in last place in the Western Conference, and they were one of the lowest scoring teams in the league. However, the troops were still in playoff contention, as only 8 points separated the bottom 6 teams in the conference. In December, Stan Butler once again left the club to coach the Canadian team at the World Junior Championships. Butler's own troops, Jay Harrison and Jay McClement, were on the squad and helped capture a silver medal after losing 5-4 to the Russians in the gold medal game. After the break, Brampton's scoring woes continued as they dropped 10 straight games while averaging just over 2 goals per contest. That all but ended any hope of a postseason. Aaron Van Loozen's season was also ended with knee and shoulder injuries. The team's second leading scorer from last season played in only 31 games all year, as Brampton finished last in the Western Conference with 26 wins and 59 points. Van Loozen joined Jay Harrison and Kurt McSwain as the only remaining players from the team's inaugural season. All of them had played their final games in a battalion uniform. Adam Henrik led the troops with 33 goals and 63 points in his sophomore season and was chosen by the Tampa Bay Lightning in the second round of the 2002 NHL entry draft. In May, the battalion selected Wojtek Wolski with the 3rd overall pick in the OHL priority selection. They also found some future gems late in the draft by getting defenseman Michael Vernace in the 9th round and goaltender Darren McChesney in the 13th round. At the end of the 2001-02 season, the North Bay Centennials franchise was moved to Saginaw, Michigan. As a result, the OHL decided to realign some of its teams. Among them was the Brampton Battalion. Saginaw was placed in the Western Conference West Division, thus moving the London Knights to the Midwest. Brampton was then moved from the Midwest to the Eastern Conference's Central Division, where they would battle more often with their 3 closest rivals, Mississauga, Toronto, and Barrie.
That was a big moment for the battalion, because now all of a sudden they're playing in the same division as their crosstown rivals, the Mississauga Ice Dogs. They weren't before, and now all of a sudden they're in the same league, same conference as them. And I think that really helped them out with travel and getting rivalries going.
As the 2002-03 season opened, Stan Butler announced forward Jay McClement as the 3rd captain in battalion history. McClement would lead a group of talented young players in the season looking to make an impact in their new division. With Adam Henrik, Camille Krebs, Wojtek Wolski, and Brent Burns at his side, McClement and the battalion opened the season with wins in 5 of their first 6 games and lingered around the 500 mark for the first half of the year. Meanwhile, goaltender Kevin Couture became only the 2nd battalion netminder to start a season opener when he led the troops to a 6-0 shutout over the London Knights on September 20th. Couture started in place of Brad Topping, the team's #1 backstop, who was at the New York Islanders training camp to begin the season. In December, Jay McClement was called to duty for the 2nd straight year to represent Canada at the World Juniors. He centered a line with current NHLers Matt Stajan and Jordan Tutu throughout the tournament. In a rematch of the previous year, the Russians, led by current NHL star Alexander Ovechkin, edged out a 3-2 win